Hey everyone, Heather here, and for today's video, I thought I'd share some of my thoughts on the characters of Final Fantasy XIV, specifically the Scions of the 7th Dawn. I figured that in future videos, maybe what I could do is have a video for the characters for each expansion of Final Fantasy XIV, but today I'm going to be focusing on the Scions of the 7th Dawn. Now, I'm going to keep this spoiler-free, but there are some Scions, just by the very nature of me talking about them, are kind of spoilers, so I'm going to save those Scions for the end. And if you look at the description or the first comment, I'm going to have timestamps where I actually label like these are spoilers, so you can just skip that part. So to start off, or I guess to pick the order, I'm actually going to use the first poster in this poster collection. I actually, in my last video, unboxed this and it's so cool. I haven't had a chance to hang up the posters yet, but I'm going to use the first poster in this because I think this poster specifically, oh, can you see it? This one is from A Realm Reborn, so totally spoiler free. So the first Scion I'll talk about is actually, I think, the first Scion that I met, which is Papalymo. My impression of Papalymo is that he is like your typical Final Fantasy character. Like, he's exactly who I would expect from a Final Fantasy game. I don't even know what class he is. I actually don't know like exactly which class every Scion is because I still don't know what the icons stand for. I only know mine, which is Dragoon. I think he's some kind of mage of some sort, but he, I think he does magic, and it's just like, yes, this is a character I would expect from Final Fantasy. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but I don't know, maybe it felt comfortable. Like this is territory that is familiar to me, especially when I was so hesitant in playing Final Fantasy XIV to begin with. So it was cool meeting Papalymo, and then Ida was with him when I met them at the time. It's funny because, like, from what I can remember, Papalymo and Ida very, like, Final Fantasy-esque, but when I look back at the journey that has been Final Fantasy XIV, it's like, it's just so, it's not what I was expecting based on my first impression of Papalymo and Ida. I actually don't have much to say about these two, but I really did enjoy their dynamic and their friendship. Like, that was really cool. I loved all of their dialogue, their bickering, their, the way that they would talk to each other and stuff. I thought it was charming. It was cute. Next, let's do Thancred. So Thancred really had to grow on me. I'm not really sure why I wasn't vibing with Thancred. Well, actually, I do know why, because I just had a feeling of like, are you a good guy? And then this is A Realm Reborn, so again, I'm gonna try to keep this spoiler free, but something happens in A Realm Reborn, and when it happened, I was like, I knew it. Like, I knew there was something sus about you. There also is this part of me that's like, you look and remind me so much of Squall, but especially after Shadowbringers, like, he really, really grew on me, and I like that he's the character who feels like he doesn't fit in, or he's like very self-aware that he sees himself as like the black sheep out of the group, very much a lone wolf, very, I want to be part of the group, but I also like doing things my own way and working alone. Oh, you know what? I'm going to try to come up with a word to describe each one. Yeah. So for Thancred, the word that I would say is reliable. Like, I think it's a really cool characteristic for like a friend to be reliable. You can always count on them. They'll always be there when you need them. And Thancred strikes me as that. Let me go back to Papalymo and Ida. It's so hard because it was like so early on in the game, and Ida, when you first meet her, is very unremarkable. But she did have like spirit, right? Like, she was very excitable and like bubbly, so maybe that, like, bubbly. And then for Papalymo, what I would say is contemplative. He's the type of person who like is thinking out loud a lot. All right, next up is Y'shtola. I actually really like Y'shtola. She strikes me as someone like, she's someone that I would love to go to happy hour with. Like, if I'm having a bad day and I need to vent, 1000%, I'm calling up Y'shtola and asking her to tell me like I need to be told, like, tell me like it is, and just be honest, be real, be blunt, and tell me what I know I need to hear. I really admire her her like dedication to figuring things out. She's such a problem solver. I love that she needs to get down to the bottom of things, right? Like she needs to figure it out and she can't like sleep until she figures it out. She's almost impatient about it, right? She really wants to solve problems, and I like that, you know. She strikes me as someone who's a doer. Like you just get stuff done. I also love that she's so unapologetic. Like she just owns who she is and does not give any care to like how things are necessarily supposed to be done or any kind of premise or anything like that. She's just like, here, bam, 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 let's go. She'd be the coworker where if we're all doing a team building activity and someone left instructions and the group is just supposed to try to figure it out, Yrstola would strike me as a person who would grab the instructions and like start assigning orders and, you know, figuring out a strategy while everyone else is kind of like, oh, what do we do? And especially like in a group dynamic, that's so important. Like it's so important to have someone who like pushes the momentum forward. Otherwise it's really hard to get things going. I mean, this is like with everything, right? Like try traveling with your friends. There's it's like if someone doesn't step up and decide what it is that we're going to do or where we're going to go eat lunch, then, you know, before you know it, the hours are going to pass by and everyone's just hungry. For Yrstola, the word I would use to describe her is audacious. Someone who like is like so bold, right? And so unapologetic in the way that she carries herself and gets things done. Okay, next up, Minfilia. Minfilia is interesting. It's not that I didn't like her, but like she also struck me as kind of unremarkable at first. But the more I thought about it, the more she kind of reminded me of myself in a lot of ways, because she is someone who puts like an immense amount of pressure on herself. And of course, like, you know, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn are dealing with like, you know, good versus evil and world-ending problems, so I get the gravity of the situation. Like that pressure is called for, but also she strikes me as a person who like worries about it and like worries about it all to herself, right? Like she doesn't vent, she doesn't like, she keeps it all to herself, keeps it all in. She is the leader of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, so of course like her job is to delegate, but I think she definitely feels that pressure of like, I'm the leader, so I have to show strength, where like, you know, in reality you're dying inside. I do remember a few times in A Realm Reborn where she was like, oh, you deserve a break, like we should all just enjoy. And I was like, yeah, you know, you too. Like, let's go to the pub and hang out. She strikes me as a person who needs to be reminded that she could also have fun too, and also just like take your shoes off and hang out. Like it doesn't all have to be on your shoulders. Like I resonate with it so much because, you know, long story short, in 2016 I quit my job to start my own business, and during those times I felt like every single moment counted. Like I had to dedicate all of my free time, like any spare second that I had, to building my business. And it's like, you know, it's just, I put so much pressure on myself. I would feel guilty when I would go hang out with friends because I was just like, oh, I have to figure this out. I have to work on this thing. That's the part of Minfilia that really resonates with me. So for Minfilia, I would say that she is trustworthy. That's the word I would use to describe her, to a fault, right? Because like she will do what needs to be done and do what she says that she's gonna do, even if it's at her own expense. Okay, next up is Alphinaud. So Alphinaud is, I was gonna say he is one of my favorite characters. They're all my favorite characters. I like Alphinaud's arc of how he is so naive in the beginning, and then you see him learn the hard way so many times, and it's like, oh, it hurts to see like him mess up and everyone feel the consequences of a mistake, because I mean, I think that's what we're all afraid of, is like messing up where other people are affected too. That sucks, right? And for him to work through that, grow from that, incorporate that experience into, you know, what he does in the future. That's, I don't know, it was really cool to watch. What I really admire about Alphinaud is that he speaks his mind. He's opinionated, he's vocal, he's, you know, that's definitely not me. Like I grew up being the person who was scared to say anything. Like I'm not going to say anything. Like I was that person who was always afraid to raise her hand. I wish I could be the person that was like, yeah, let me tell you what I think. I think now that I'm older, I'm not as like shy, but definitely like in group situations, I'm not going to be like telling you what I think. And Alphinaud like has no problem doing that. I think this is something that a lot of people can relate to, but doing the right thing and sticking to what's fair and equal and like sticking to your integrity, that is hard. You know, you're going to come up against pushback, but just because it's hard, Alphinaud doesn't let that stop him. Like he is willing to do what it takes in order for like justice to be achieved and for it to be equal for everyone. And I mean that's like such an admirable quality. Yeah, I think for Alphinaud, I was just looking up like what's an adjective for integrity, since that's a noun, but honorable is like the word I would probably use to describe him. All right, next up, Urianger. Must needs doth. Urianger. Must needs doth. I had to reread a lot of Urianger's dialogue twice, but I like that. It was hard. I'm not saying that it was bad. But you know, it's hard to understand. I'm very curious how it is in like Japanese or German or in another language. Like, does it translate that he's speaking in a, you know, very specific dialect that no one else speaks in? I can say that Urianger was my favorite character for a long time. Like there was just something about him that was so comforting, like so calming. Like he's just so smart and like he's very studious and loves his research just like many of the other Scions do, but he's also very humble, right? Like he's not someone where you would feel bad about yourself for not being as smart. If anything, he's the type of person who is so excited to educate you on what you don't know and to fill in the gaps. I love how worldly he is, you know, like because he's studied so many cultures and history and all of that, like he is able to understand both sides so well, and he can really be empathetic and like give context as to this is why these people that are, you know, are like on the other side or have a different agenda, these might be the motivations that are driving them, and here's why, but like here's also why or how we can come to a common ground. Does that make sense? I think the tricky part about Urianger is that more than once he has acted on his own volition and like not told people what he's gonna do, but I can see why he would do that because he knows so much. And I think not only does he recognize it, but everybody recognizes it, that he probably is the one who has the most knowledge and probably the most like info and perspective on the things. Like he takes it upon himself to just decide what needs to get done and not tell anybody. I think another reason why I love Urianger is like he can spend a whole day in a cottage and just be surrounded by books. When I was in college at UCI, I used to work in the library, and not just the library, but the special collections of the UCI library, which was like a special part of the library where they had books that are like hundreds of years old. Like for a lot of the books, you had to wear gloves to open them and flip the pages. These are like super old books. And when it was really slow, I would just walk the shelves and like smell the books and like turn the pages and just be in awe of like, I wish I could read all this and understand the context of all of them. But even though I couldn't, I still had such like an appreciation for it. And I feel like that is something I definitely have in common with Urianger. Urianger is someone who, if I needed advice, I definitely want to hear what he has to say, because I feel like not only would he not, you should, which is like really frustrating sometimes when people are just telling you what you should do. I feel like he would walk me through all the things to consider, right? Like I feel like he would provide a perspective on something in a way that I haven't thought about it before, just because of how much he knows. Like, oh, have you thought about this? I would really appreciate what he actually thinks, but just that other, like those other perspectives or seeing it from another lens, I would really appreciate that. So the word I would use to describe Urianger is wise. Oh man, I feel like this video is gonna be a long one. I didn't mean for it to be so long. I didn't realize I had so much to say about the characters. Okay, so she is not here in this poster. So I'm kind of just, I'm gonna try to find a poster that she is in. Oh, there she is. Bam. This is Heaven's Ward. Do you see her? Tataru! Tataru was my favorite character for a long time also, just because like she was the one who was always there. When I was feeling like a total newbie in Final Fantasy 14, she felt like the first thing that I remember being consistent. And so I found myself like gravitating towards like, oh, thank gosh, I have to like check in with Tataru. Like I have to turn my quest into her next, or she's going to tell me what to do. I love Tataru. Like there's so many things I could say about her. I love how organized she is. I love the entrepreneur in her, especially like me, you know, also being entrepreneurial. She loves making, you know, processes and making things efficient and like protocols and all that. I feel like she would get a kick out of figuring all that out. And I love that about her. Like, even though she isn't on the front lines, you definitely get a sense of her importance in making the team work. And I feel like she adds so much to these kinds of adventure stories, because you think all the glory is on, you know, on the battlefield or like actually going from town to town or whatever, but she's just like at home base taking care of the books and like correspondence and all of that. And like realistically, someone has to take that role, and it's not just like, oh, you're that person that does all those admin things, but they've given her enough personality and story that like I just love her so much. Also, girl can sew. Like I love that. I just see, it's like those little things of like you don't realize when you're playing RPGs or, you know, adventure games, like, oh, here's the new equipment, I just put it on. But to add to the story of like, look, I made this. I didn't want to take it off because she made it, you know, like I don't even care if there's other things that look better or, you know, have better stats or whatever. I was just like, Tataru made this for me. I am going to wear it. Man, yeah, the more I talk about her, the more I'm like, I think she is my favorite character. Like she's just like, I feel like she would make me a better person, right? Like she's the realist, practical. I am very impulsive sometimes. So, okay, backstory. I quit my job to start a business, and I actually started a YouTube channel to vlog that journey. I did not have a plan. I had 6 months savings. Like that's all I had. My husband, on the other hand, like his journey was, he started his YouTube channel while he was a full-time like high school teacher, and he did not quit his job until the money he was making from his YouTube channel was at least equal to his job as a high school teacher. He had a plan, he had systems in place so that when he did go full time, it wasn't just like, I'm gonna quit this and just like, you know, go fly blind or whatever. For me, I did not have a plan. I was like, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm sure everything will work out, and if not, like I'll figure out a plan B. I'm very impulsive. That's the part of Tataru where I feel like she would be such a great balance to my impulsiveness, right? Like I have ADHD. I'm like, oh my gosh, here's an idea. Like we should do this now. And if I run it by her, she'd be like, okay, wait, let's sit down and figure out the pros and cons, but not in a way that's like annoying, right? Like she wants to do that because that is what brings her joy. And I just feel like she's the most relatable character in that way, and I love that. I think the word I would use to describe her is, I was gonna say grounded, because she's like so practical. Responsible is like such a boring word. That's not the right word. Like that is a word to describe her, but it's not like the word. I'm sure as you guys are watching this, you're gonna come up with better words than I'm thinking. It's I'm gravitating towards words like pragmatic, but like if someone described you as pragmatic, how would you feel? It sounds like a boring person, you know? I think the word I would use to describe her is effective. I feel like that word is not effective in describing her, but I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of E words, like enthusiastic is another word, entrepreneurial. I don't know. If I had to boil it down to one, though, I would say, is it effective? Oh, what's this? Utilitarian? Maybe that's it. Utilitarian. Designed to be useful or practical rather than attractive. Oh, that sucks. I don't like that definition, but I think that's what I mean. Handy. That's what I would use to describe her. Handy. Okay, so for the rest of this video, it's going to be potential spoilers because the rest of these people are not like in the original Scions of the Seventh Dawn, but I mean, they're in all the trailers, so I don't know how much of a spoiler it is. I think it's like common knowledge, but just check the timestamps and skip around, skip ahead if you don't want to hear it. Next up, Estinien, Esti the bestie. So it's funny because I picked Dragoon as my first character, and I knew I had to do the class quest because that unlocked abilities, and I didn't realize that Estinien would be part of the Dragoon class quest. So I had already known Estinien before he was actually introduced in the main story. And not gonna lie, when I, since my first introduction to Estinien was through the Dragoon class quest line, I was like, just a very like hard-headed person, right? Like, I don't really want to talk to you because you don't really want to talk to me, right? You're just doing your own thing. And even in Heaven's Ward, when he gets introduced in the main story, there were still a lot of times where I was like, God, this guy is fun at parties, right? Like, you're that person who like always has something to say about something, right? Like, there's just always something. Now, man, there are so many times where I'm like, Estinien is like my favorite character. I love how socially awkward he is, because I am too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I felt the unawareness and like just the awkwardness of like, oh, he doesn't realize what he's saying or what he's doing. And like you understand why because of his backstory. And I love that, right? Like, he just hasn't had a chance to live a normal life or like be a normal person because he was driven by revenge at, such a young early stage in his life. And of course, being the Azure Dragoon, like, there's that sense of you are this major role in our world, right? In our city, in our culture. And he is very aware of that and what that means. And it's like to the point where he's like so obsessed, like that's the only thing he can think of. And that's why I really like where his character goes on, because it's like once Heaven's Ward is over, you can really feel him trying to figure out himself now that he doesn't have that thing that he's all he's ever known is gone, right? Like that thing that used to drive him, that thing that like nothing else was important than that thing. I'm trying not to do spoilers. And then now that it's gone, who are you? What drives you? What is going to get you to take the next step? Like, what's important to you? You get to pick where you want to spend your time. No one is going to tell you what to do. You're not expected to do anything. I just love being on the journey of like watching him figure that out. I also really like his dynamic with Alphinaud. Like that whole thing is so cool in finding what's important to him after the Heaven's Ward stuff, that he really embraced his role as a big brother. I really like that. I feel like it's such a small thing. And like for a character whose story is as integral to the history as his, like for him to kind of embrace this bond with someone who is in a completely different like class, city, upbringing, like just so much that they don't have in common, but there's this bond there, you know, and I just really like that. That was really fun to watch. Estinien many times comes off very cold, very, you know, just gotta do the thing, and doesn't really take a lot of time to think about things. Like, it's just like, if this is what we gotta do, if this is the battle we gotta fight, like, let's go. But you also get to see that he cares, right? Like, it's not just like, I'm gonna kill for no reason, right? We see that in in some of the antagonists in Final Fantasy 14. He understands the bigger picture, right? And he cares about it legitimately. It's not just like, this is the side I picked, but you can see that he cares about the people. You can see that he cares about the effects, right? Like the ripple effects of what they are doing together. And it wasn't like that, right? Like, that was a journey that we as a player got to discover with him. And I mean, that's why his character's so unique. He definitely is one of my favorite characters. They're all my favorite characters, damn it. I think the word I would use to describe Estinien is dedicated. Like, he's a very dedicated person. Next up, Krile. So Krile had a lot of trouble, like, connecting with for some reason. I think because her character kind of just comes out of nowhere. I'm still kind of like, what happened to your island that disappeared? Like, that's definitely a story question that I'm like, are we not going to talk about the elephant in the room that I feel like it's kind of a big deal? There are times where I forget that she's a Scion. Like, I know she is, right? Because I remember reading the dialogue that, like, she is a Scion, but like, she isn't as integral as like Tataru, where it's like, here is like how you contribute to how this group functions. In Endwalker, that changes a lot, but for a long time I was like, oh yeah, Krile, I forgot she was there. I wish I could know a little bit more about her, right? Like, it's hard for me to describe her personality and like what I think about her, because I feel like we do get so little of her. But there are a lot of times where, like, she's the person who's like almost like the mom of the group, right? When the Scions are so focused on worrying about the end of the world, who is worrying about the Scions? Krile. Like, Krile is thinking about the Scions and like making sure they're okay. So is Tataru, but like in different ways. She's also someone you can depend on to do the thing that like you would do even if you weren't there, right? Like, again, I'm trying to avoid spoilers here, but, you know, say you were incapacitated somehow, and if you were able to act in a situation, this is what you would do. You can trust that if Krile is there, she will do what needs to get done. Dependable, right? Like, that's the dynamic that I feel like she adds to the Scions that is really cool. But again, I would like to see more of her character, especially like with the students of Valdezia and all of that. All right, next up is Lyse. So, did not see that coming. So here are the spoilers, right? Like, I'm not going to talk about specific plot points, but like, listen at your own risk. The thing that I really liked about Lyse is showing that somebody can leave the group that is charged with saving the world, right? Because Scions of the Seventh Dawn, Avengers, or whatever, it's like, you're, how could you leave? Like, how could you do anything else? But I liked seeing Lyse feel like, okay, I did what I could here, and now I want to do this. Like, I'm going to step away from the Scions, and I'm going to do this instead, because this is where I feel like I would be more effective, and this is what means a lot to me, and this is what I believe in. I think that's, you know, something that we don't see very often, and I really liked seeing that whole journey of hers. Is like, I'm contributing in this different way. Yeah, it's not the glory of, you know, defeating the bad guys and saving the world, but it's like, someone has to lead these people. Someone has to lead this broken country, these refugees. Someone has to bring in the next generation. Like, someone has to take up that mantle. And I I loved seeing her do that and work through that. And, you know, there was a part of me that was like, oh no, she's gonna like step away, but it was very admirable of seeing her step into her own, especially like being in the shadow of Ida for so long and figuring out like, is this what I really want, or is this what I feel like I want because everyone else around me wants it. I really like how her and Fordola's dynamic of like, this is a person who murdered so many people, your people, but you still try to find common ground. That is really hard, right? Like, I don't know if I could do that, right? Like, I think that's such an admirable thing. And I think if more people did that, I think the world would be a better place. Of like, we cannot move forward if we don't try to meet somewhere in the middle. Like, otherwise we're just going to continue being on opposite sides. And I love that, like, no matter what, she tries to find common ground. I saw a lot of me in her as well, because like it felt like a very natural thing for her to like take up the mantle and like, you know, lead the Alamegans and all of that. But she's also surrounded by someone like Raubon, right? Like someone who is a legend in terms of leadership and battle and in that culture and history and stuff like that. And, you know, when you are doubting yourself and when you're questioning yourself and you're standing next to someone who everyone looks up to and is like, you know, how can I even do what you're doing? Then you start comparing yourself, right? Like, you start seeing how much further along this person is and how weak you feel in comparison, or how, you know, just unqualified, right? Then you still feel the drive of like, even though I feel unqualified for this, I still want to try because I believe in it. I really like that about Lyse. Like, it was really cool to see that. It's how I felt when I started my business, because I was like, I don't freaking know what I'm doing. I have no idea. There was no other entrepreneurs in my family, you know, and my business that I was starting was like very, very much involved in content creation. And back in 2016, that is something that like, no, I didn't know anyone else who was making YouTube videos. So it's like, I felt like there was no one I could learn from. I didn't know what I was doing, but I still wanted to try. That's what I see in Lyse. The other thing that I really liked about her character is seeing the conflict of, like, it's so clear, or it feels so clear, that this is the right thing to do, right? Like, this is the thing that, of course, who isn't going to agree with this plan that benefits everybody? But then you meet the refugees, you meet the people who are, you know, collaborating with the Garlean Empire to do what they have to do to survive. And then you're like, oh, and they don't necessarily agree with your plan because this is what they've had to do. It doesn't matter how gung-ho you are about your plan, about how much you see that this is going to be better for everyone in the end. Like, why wouldn't you do this? I can feel her pain and like trying to convince people who are just like so tired and so over everything that they're just like, I don't want to be in a war. Like, I don't want to fight. I just want to live to see the next day. You know, I just want food on the table. And it's really hard to like convince people to sign up for your cause when they're exhausted, right? Like, when the priorities are different. I feel like that's such a real world issue, right? Like, that's not something that happens in a fantasy world. That's something that happens today in our world. I think the word that I would use to describe Lyse is eager. Because she really wants to do the right thing. Okay, next up, Alisaie. So my first impression of Alisaie was like, I really didn't like her, especially in A Realm Reborn, because I felt like she was, you know, when you first meet Alphinaud and Alisaie, it's when you're picking what grand company to, you know, to decide to join, and like you go and watch all of the speeches by the Grand Company leaders and they give commentary on everything, and like I just felt like everything that Alisaie was saying was just like not contributing to helping me make a decision. Like it felt very impatient, and I don't know, so that was my first impression of her. And then she disappeared for a really long time, but I always knew that she would come back, because I was like, they wouldn't put her in if they don't bring her back. When she comes back, oh my gosh, there definitely are times where I think like, you know, Alisaie is like can be my favorite character, because she is impulsive, right? Like she's like, let's go do the thing. Like I don't want to do meetings, I just want to go do the thing. I don't want to sit here and talk, I don't want to do politics. Like I want to be boots on the ground, or like, you know, doing whatever action needs to get done instead of just sitting here and talking about what needs to get done. She's definitely reckless at times, you know. I think that comes with her impulsivity, is like she just like, even at the expense of her safety, she will jump in the line of fire and do the right thing. And I mean, I think that's so admirable in situations of danger, or, you know, people are scared or there's some kind of emergency. I think the natural reaction is to hide, right? To get on the ground. But Alisaie is like, no, like I'm like, without even thinking, she's on her feet and trying to help people, trying to save people, trying to, you know, do what's right and all of that. And I just love that is her instinct, especially in Shadowbringers, like when you find out where the Scions go and she's like doing what she's doing, right? Like she's just in this camp, like taking care of sick people. I just love that. You know, it's not like a glamorous thing, but she finds joy in helping people. Or maybe it's not even joy, but like that is what she is compelled to do. I love her pride. Pride, my husband and I talk about this too. Like pride is something that can get in my way as well, you know, like when your pride is stung, it's hard to admit. And definitely with Alisaie, you can get a sense of that. Like she doesn't want to admit that she actually really cares for Alphinaud. Like I think she is a tough person, but she is also aware that everyone knows that she's a tough person, and she wants to like keep that and maintain that. And I think that's where the pride comes in, where she's afraid to show, you know, a little bit of her softer side. With Alisaie, you really get a sense of the individual aspect to the world ending story, right? So like while the world is on fire and like everything's gonna end and it's like, you know, the apocalypse is like about to happen and all this, with Alisaie, like she's focused on one person who's injured right here and right now. And like I like that it keeps the story grounded, where yes, there's all these like high stakes things happening, but like these high stakes are made up of several of these individual people who have all these different kinds of ways that they're suffering. I think the word I would use to describe, I'm looking at the other words I've used. Yeah, I haven't used this word yet. So the word I would use to describe Alisaie is courageous. Next up, G'raha Tia. So when we first meet G'raha, not gonna lie, he kind of strikes me as a bro. I think the character that I went on the longest journey with is G'raha, because I really didn't like him when we first met him, because he just seemed like this super eager kid, and I wasn't really sure how he fit into the story, and I know a lot of this has to do with the writing of ARR and how like they fit the Crystal Tower series. I think the Crystal Tower series was not part of the main quest line, but when I played it, it is. I just feel like out of everybody, he's the one who's been through the most. And I really got a sense of that he really sacrificed the most. He's been through, like, I mean, he's done stuff that no one else has done. And just that whole journey of it all is like, gosh, how are you still standing? And how is it that despite all of that, the only thing that you want to do is go on an adventure with Oliver Bentley. I would describe G'raha as like the hype man, right? Like if you want to get excited about something, man, talk about someone who has genuine enthusiasm that is absolutely infectious. But he's shy about it, right? Like I was going to say he's so excited, but he's also timid about it because, I don't know, I think it's because he knows he's in the presence of greatness and he's like afraid to admit how exciting of a situation is, because it's like you got to pretend to be cool. It's like meeting a celebrity, like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna freak out, but I'm totally freaking out inside. There was a lot of dialogue of G'raha that I really liked, like the things that I screenshotted and like the quotes that really stuck out to me. A lot of them were from him. Honestly, there were a lot of lines that I felt like I needed to hear in real life, right? Like the encouragement and like, I don't know, the way that I can go about living my life. I can't remember any direct quotes off the top of my head, but I remember there were a few times where I was thinking like, dang, I really need to hear that today, G'raha. Thank you. You really feel the awe for adventure, right? Like there's that sense of like, who knows where we're gonna end up, like where this journey is gonna take us, and he's so aware of that and so excited about following this road that we have no idea where it's gonna lead. And I love that in the story of Final Fantasy 14, because you know there's a lot of times where it feels like it is very clear like this is the threat that we're addressing right now, but like G'raha is very grounded in like, I don't even care what we're doing. I just know it's going to be like an adventure and we're going to grow from this, and you know, all the memories we're going to make along the way. Like as a player, right? Like as a person who was playing it, I was just like, yeah, like this is why I'm playing this game, because I want that sense of adventure, right? And it's cool that like someone in the game is like also enjoying that. I know that's like weird, but I don't know, it was just cool. I like that. Oh shoot, did I use the... Oh, I didn't describe G'raha. I gotta come up with a word for G'raha. Adventurous. Of course, adventurous. Oh my gosh. That was such a long video. I have an hour and a half of raw footage here that I am definitely gonna try to figure out how to cut an hour out of. I really don't think I can pick a favorite character, but I will say that I absolutely love the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. Like they have just brought so much joy to my life, and I'm so glad. Oh, I am so glad that I started playing Final Fantasy 14. Okay, my dogs are barking because my husband is home. I'm gonna end this video, but stay tuned for more videos. I'm working on them. I so appreciate like all of the encouragement and all of your comments. Thank you. I will do a character breakdown per expansion, but then also gameplay videos and all this. I have a lot of stuff planned. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.